Welcome to another week at DroneDJ, and we've got several drone product news for you this week, starting with DJI's new product launch next week. And we also have some updates for the RC Pro controller to be now compatible with the Mini 3. Next is Autel's Evo 2 V3. We covered the FCC release a couple of weeks ago, and now we've got a little more details on the product itself. Also, the Snap Pixie, which we covered a couple of months ago, has a product update. So let's start with DJI's new product launch. And let me share the press release we have here. Got Born to Fly. I mean,
Born to
we already
Fly.
know what it is. Not like that's a big secret.
It didn't really hide it that well. They could have done, like, even the Mini 3, they didn't show the drone. It was just like, it was the kind of teasing in the vertical, the horizontal of the
Right.
rotating camera. But this one, they just gave up, and they just like, yep, here's the drone. Like, this is what it is, and it matches all the leaks from Avata. So, Born to Fly destined to fail.
I love that comment.
Jace from 27 Leaks, he was like, he's like, how does the drone get born? Like, it was kind of like the interesting. It's an interesting product name. There was a lot of jokes going around on the name of it, which is kind of good.
And it is FPV drone, so it is destined. I mean, it's supposed to fall, right? You're supposed to crash it, and
It's Born to Fly, Born to Crash.
definitely. I mean, I still haven't fixed my broken original DJI FPV, which I finally got the replacement arm, and only to find out it was pretty much useless because the replacement arm didn't come with the motor and ESC already installed. So now I have to go get the motor and ESC. I mean, it didn't make any sense. If it's FPV drone, it's meant to be crashed. It's meant to be easy to replace and repair, which the original one wasn't.
Which
And
is
now
surprising
with
because when you look at the product, like all the accessories, you have like so many different like small parts that they don't sell on other drones. But for something like I said, the arm, like I'd say I don't remember seeing like an arm there. I just saw like the shell and like the gimbal. You can get it by a replacement gimbal, which is interesting. But yeah, not the arm. That seems weird.
well, it's FPV drone. I mean,
Yeah.
if you crash it, what are some of the easier parts to break would be your gimbal, your arm, your propellers, etc. It's just now with I'm really looking forward to the new Avata FPV drone. So I guess I'm still not sure if I'm gonna fix the original one or not. I mean, if I really enjoy the
Yeah.
new FPV, then I probably just put the other one on the shelf.
And I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I can get one to fly around a little bit because it doesn't seem like it's like a hardcore cine whoop where you have to be flying forward, otherwise it just like falls out of the sky. So I know there's some of those that are just like they're meant to be flying around. They're not meant to hover. Like, you can't hover them. And this one, there are videos of it hovering. It's like a slower drone. It is quite heavy. It's not going to be like the most crazy one out of all the FPV cine whoops out there, but it might be kind of easy for like someone who hasn't done FPV cine whoop stuff to kind of get into. Although we don't know what the prices are, and then we've seen some leaks, and they don't seem to be nice towards entry level. They definitely so who knows what we'll see come
It is
next
supposed to be
Thursday.
pricey.
Yeah,
The leaks I've seen say it's more expensive than the original FPV.
which surprised me, but also I guess with supply chain inflation and whatnot, maybe that makes sense. Like, every drone that's come out seems to be pricier than what we would expect it for like replacements to go.
Features were also a lot better. I mean, if you look at the Mini
Mhm.
3 Pro, definitely it was a lot more. It's a lot more
It
pricey,
justified the
especially.
price. Yeah.
Yeah, I did justify. I think if you deliver a good product,
Mhm.
ultimately your customers will still buy it.
But if we see like Air 3, like I expect Air 3 to be priced up and hopefully probably and match probably that in between Mini and Maverick 3 area. Like it'll probably be increased. So everything seems to be going up.
And plus, if I buy the original FPV, yeah, it's cheaper, but it ends up sitting on my shelf after a couple of flights, then what's the use? I'd rather
Yeah.
pay a little more if it's a good product and it actually works and I enjoy flying it, right?
Yep. And interesting with the packages we've seen this. Well, we'll get to it. Like, we'll probably talk a lot about this next week. So we won't touch. We can just go on and on and on.
Watch
But
out for the product launch day
yeah,
on the 25th. We'll
yeah,
definitely have a live
we'll
right
talk about that
after,
then.
for
Yep.
sure. Okay, talking about the Mini 3, I mean, this is personally, my long-awaited firmware update from DJI. Because if you have the Mavic 3 and you use the RC Pro controller, right? It's now compatible with the Mini 3 Pro, which is great because I mean, my standard package is I've got the Mavic 3, for professional work, but I also take the Mini 3 Pro with me, for backup, for scouting, or even, on shoots. Sometimes I would just take it up to do rehearsals, rather than get the Mavic 3 app all the time. So now the RC Pro controller is compatible with Mini 3 Pro. And it's a fairly easy switch. Like I've done it to switch from the Mavic 3 to Mini 3 Pro. It is a fairly easy switch between the two drones, which is great.
Super excited to see this. I was super excited to see the RC come to the Mavic 3. So now it's kind of awesome to see like the lineup go like almost across all drones, except for the Air 2. The RC doesn't go with the Air 2, but hopefully that'll come soon. Where you can kind of like pick and choose a drone, pick and choose your controller, and then like you get to have your experience on how you want to fly the drone. I'm more of an RC fan, not necessarily because I think the RC Pro is a better controller. It's just I like the RC. It's smaller, it's lighter, it fits into things better than the larger RC Pro. Like I have inside my Mavic 3 carrying case, I have my Mavic 3, my Mini 3, and my RC. I have all of them all in one bag, so I can carry it wherever. I don't necessarily fly them far enough to where I get any issues with not having external antennas, but I can definitely see why someone might want to, have the external antennas on a Mini 3, because that thing is a pretty beastie drone to be flying around.
I really like the HDMI output from
That too.
the
Yep.
RC Pro, because we pretty much carry a large monitor. I have it like mounted on the arm from our production vehicle. So if I've got directors, producers, clients sitting around, want to overlook my shoulder on my screen, now I can just tell them go watch the separate monitor. Right?
Well, even if they want to overlook the shoulder, now you have a larger, brighter screen they can look at.
It's the same size, I believe, actually.
Oh,
RC
maybe it
Pro,
is the
yeah.
same size. I
Yes,
know it's brighter
it is
though.
brighter. It is
is brighter.
brighter, and I do like the feel. Battery lasts longer, so I do like the controller. Like I do like the controller better than the DJI RC. But still, I really like the separate monitor, especially if you got several people around. Like on our training side, we've got students or people seeing demo all the time, and it's hard having like 4 or 5 people looking at that screen. Doesn't matter how bright. So if you have a separate larger monitor, it's perfect.
And while I don't think that our Mini 3 yet is compatible with the third-party apps, RC
Correct. That's
Pro
not
can
yet.
have third-party apps, so it opens up the door in the future to where you're actually going to have a controller that can use
Once
third-party apps. Because the
SDK
RC right now
opens
is
up,
only fly app.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, rumor is there's supposed to be a Mavic 3 Enterprise, right? Which is using either the RC Pro or RC Plus.
Be nice to see the RC Plus, because that'd be I would like to try out that controller if I can get, I'll probably want to get an RC, Mavic 3 controller review, because that's a little out of my range, but would still be nice just to get a feel for all the controllers.
And talking about price, the RC Pro controller alone is $1,000 plus in US.
Yeah.
Right. So so you would have a controller that's more expensive than your drone.
Yeah, definitely. That's the one reason why I really like the RC, is that it is super affordable. Like it's $300, so USD. So it's, you don't really have to like, you're not really worried about it as much as you would be like the RC Pro. Like the RC Pro, I would be like, don't drop it, don't leave it somewhere, don't like. I mean, even $300 is still a lot, but like I'm less concerned about that than like my $1,000 controller next to my $1,000 drone, next to my $2,000 drone. It seems a little bit,
And the debate between using your phone or using a separate, controller with built-in screen, I've got to say, I hate when I'm using my phone and notifications. Like if you don't mute your notifications, I've just got way too many like email accounts and work-related apps on my phone that notifications kept popping out. I didn't like that. Or if someone tries to call me, or like if you fly for professional, we've got emergency protocols, right? Like if you're in controlled airspace and you run into emergency, your phone is your primary communication to the tower, right?
Nothing wrong with phones. Like I fly my phone a bunch. I have a friend he only has the N1 controller on his Air 2S, and that's what he does for all his professional work, and he does just fine doing it. And the N1 controller is a great controller. I mean, it's not a bad controller. It's just, I switched over to the built-into screen, and I'm like, man, this is too nice. Like,
but
it's
what I still use? You know what I still use for the N1 controller? I get the tablet holder, because DJI now has their proprietary tablet holder, and I put my iPad Pro on there. Great big screen, right? No one bothers me with emails or calls. And it's even bigger screen than the
Yeah,
RC Pro.
that's
So
true. Yeah, that's true. Although with the phone, that is probably that is like a really well balanced controller. Like it doesn't feel like it's falling forward like Autel's is. Like Autel is a great feeling controller, but like because it's pretty much based off of a gaming controller, which has all the ergonomics pretty much powdered out pretty well.
which is
But once you
nice.
put that phone, which is
Yeah,
nice,
but
but once you put
once
that
you take
phone on it,
away,
it just gets top heavy and it just falls over.
yeah, center of
Yeah,
gravity is, I know that was my challenge with the Autel controller too.
yeah. So
Well, moving along, talking about Autel, we're supposed to see the Autel Evo 2 V3. Wow, that's sort of a
that is a
mouthful.
mouthful. I don't know why they're not just going with the Evo 3. I remember
Well,
talking
I
to them at
know, that's what I
CES
said.
about when is Evo 3 coming. They're like, yeah, we're working on it. So I don't know if this is what he meant. This that this V3 is going to be the Evo 3. I don't know. So I don't know. It's great. I mean, it's a solid platform. I mean, there's been very little major issues with this platform that I've seen. So it's super awesome to see a new version coming out because it is kind of an older drone.
I'm excited to see the Enterprise. Where is it? Where is the one with thermal? There we go. The duo with thermal, and they also have one with dual Enterprise with the
Hmm.
additional accessories. Because I was looking at getting another Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced. I mean, essentially, if you want to enter, let's say, the thermal drone world with entry level drone, it used to be the Mavic 2 Enterprise was the one to go, but
Hmm.
I can't get any of them available anywhere. They haven't been in production for several months.
Yep.
So my next option will be the Matrix 30T, which for some of the operations, it's the size is a little too large for what, like if you want to be inconspicuous and some of the
Which
smaller,
is
tighter spaces.
yeah.
So I
Which is
couldn't get one anywhere in that class. So I'm looking forward. I mean, of course, rumor has there's a new enterprise drone coming out from DJI, but until that happens, I'm probably gonna try the Evo 2 Duo and see how that works out with the thermal.
yeah. It was interesting that the M30 is like a little still too big because the whole point of the M30 was to shrink down the M300 like down into that like smaller size form. It's
Yeah,
still definitely not.
and I know
Mm,
there's the paired Anafi
yeah.
thermal, which I have one. Personally, I just don't really care much for it. If you ask me,
Yeah.
it looks and feels too much like a toy. I mean, yeah, the therm. If you
It,
look at the thermal
I can totally
camera and
feel.
the
Yeah, I
sensor,
totally understand
it
that.
yeah, is it any different? It's not too much different, but
Hmm.
the overall usability and just the feel of the drone, I just couldn't take it. I couldn't take it to like a serious client site and
Okay.
not worry about how clients think about
It doesn't
or
look.
think about the bill I'm gonna send to them. How am I gonna justify?
Yeah, like it's and the hotel looks pretty clean. Like it looks because it has that orange paint, which looks kind of like more like enterprise like and like high visibility is always nice to see for that as well.
And
I
I'll tell
love
you,
my Light Plus. Like
my personal favorite is the loudspeaker. Actually, I just
oh
used
yeah.
it. I just used it last week because we had an event day on our training site. And every couple of hours you'd have to go tell people, "Hey, the next session is happening" or something. So I decided to take out the
You
Mavic
take the drone
Enterprise,
around and tell
and I
people
put
to
the
walk
speaker
around.
on. Like seriously, I put the
That's
speaker on.
for any other event, I would say that's like lazy, but like for a drone event, you kind of have to do it.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great, and people had a blast, right? Everyone was kind of checking out, and everyone was trying to record their messages. You can do it live, record a message,
Mhm.
and send it out. The only way I wish, like the only other update I wish they had was a two-way communication, because
Okay.
this one you can only broadcast from the
Mhm.
drone, but there's no way you could hear what other people are saying. Right. So I could only say, like, I could only give them instructions on going anywhere, what to do, but you can't hear what they're saying. So we'll see. Maybe there could be an
Yeah.
update sometime down the road.
So alongside also this is you also have the V3 controller, which is kind of looks very similar to their standard enterprise controller, which is practically a massive tablet. Um, Also like it's like you take an iPad, you turn it into a Nintendo Switch. It's
And I'm
huge.
not sure uh if anyone has seen this. Let me see.
And they do. I think they have one of those as well for their larger drone.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because
Yeah.
the Autel controller, I've seen them for the enterprise one, right?
Mhm.
And it is a fairly good size for the controller. I kind of like the feel of it.
Mhm.
I just wish there is a option to do it, like customize it, like what these
Mhm.
guys have. Like I really want to have a nice Pelican case, everything built in. And plus, you know what I really want to have on the Pelican case? It's a tripod mount at the bottom. So you can
True.
just
Yep.
put it on the mount, right? Because anywhere you go, you don't necessarily have, like, if you look at this guy putting it on the ground, then you have to knee down on the ground, which is
Yeah.
not really
Or find
comfortable.
a table to put it on, or the back
Yeah.
of like.
Yeah, good luck
Yeah.
having that when you go
Good
out
luck.
to, like,
I mean, you could bring a folding table everywhere you go, but that's not
we
necessarily
do.
ideal.
We bring
Yeah.
the folding table, but that's our takeoff and landing spot. And I'll tell you, when you go outside to fly,
Gotcha.
there's never enough level surface.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
never.
So that's fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. So
Well, next piece of news is
sad news.
Snap's Pixie drone. I'm so sad now
I'm
because
actually
it's
really
not.
sad because we were hoping to get a review unit of it. We were on a wait list because like apparently like every site wanted one of these, and they only had like a handful to do review units.
It's a hype,
It
right?
was
And
a
it
hype,
really
and
is.
it was honestly not a great drone. Like there was no wind resistance.
But
Um,
it's one of those things you just wanted to have it and figure out, what's wrong with it.
yeah, I should have just bought one. Like I thought about just buying one, but
Did they even fulfill any?
I don't know how many they
I
fulfilled,
don't think they
especially after
even
4 months,
fulfilled.
because it was like you
It
had
was
to wait till
pre-order.
August, September to get some of them. So,
So
um,
decision to pull the plug was first reported, and then comments made about the selfie drone, a regular question and answer session at the company, blah blah blah. I mean, reasons, combined factors of disappointing sales.
yeah. So I'm
It
sure
did generate a lot of
it's generated a
interest.
lot of a lot of news, but like I think every review came out and said, if you want to fly this thing outside and there was even a touch of wind, it's unusable. So
Can I just
I'm
say I
sure
don't
not many
think
people bought it.
I honestly I don't think making that decision on sales is a good decision if that was the reason,
Yeah.
because customers are getting smarter,
Mhm.
especially if you look at, we talked about the initial Lily drone, right? And people are just getting fed up with all these pre-orders and the product not being delivered. So if they're serious about releasing a drone, I would say, like, or if anyone is serious about releasing a drone, I wouldn't suggest making that decision based on your pre-order sales total, because customers just aren't buying that anymore. You have to
Uh,
deliver your actual product.
yeah, and honestly, like this isn't like a serious drone company. Like I don't think they're ever serious about drones.
Yeah, you don't have a
Um,
track record, so what
no,
do you
like
expect?
they were just trying. I mean, they're just trying to push their tech, find something new. They get. I'm sure also Snapchat. I don't know how popular Snapchat is anymore. Like I used it in high school, like when it was like new and like was like the thing you use. But like since then, I don't even know. Like I still haven't. I pop on it like maybe like once a week, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's nothing here. Like all the new, all like the their curated stuff is just like not even like real news. And then so like there's no point for me being on it anymore. So I don't know who, I don't know, maybe it's still younger generation is still on it. I don't know. I feel old saying that. I'm only 25, but I started college, I started high school 10 years ago. So who knows? Like that's yeah. So I don't know. Things have changed. So this is probably like a really big push for new people to come to the app, and it probably didn't work, and so they're not worth building more of them.
So if you joined us late, we did cover the Evo 2 V3 just about 6 minutes ago. So you can kind of wait for the live to finish and go back to watch that section again. We don't know about, I don't know if it's chip shortage or what it is, or just product planning. Definitely we haven't seen the Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced available anywhere. So I guess we'll
Hmm.
see. Obviously the Evo 2 V3 is sort of announced, like leaked, right, versus announced. But to see product availability is a different story. We'll keep you
Yeah.
posted when we actually see product availability. And just to go back to the Snap Pixie drone story, this week, because I was prepping for a I mean, on my own company side, we're prepping for a video series on things we buy this week. So I bought $100 drone which looked identical like the original Mavic one. And just that drone's sales page had all your as seen on TV sales tactics. Best drone, most affordable in its class. So we'll see when I actually get it, if it works or not. I'm just worried that it's a scam and they will never fulfill it. I'm looking forward to if they deliver it. It'll be fun to try it. But I'm just worried that because it's just one of those, like landing page things, right? So there's no track record, no company information, no one can call or contact. So we'll see.
In case you're wondering, I just searched it up on eBay. If you still want to buy a Snap Pixie,
Oh, there is one?
there are several on eBay. Can't necessarily prove the legitimacy of anyone, but they're all $350. So yeah. Yeah. So there are several of them out there. Out on
Interesting.
Yep. So maybe there's still hope for us to have a review of one.
Yeah, I guess we shall see.
Maybe we'll buy one on eBay.
Well,
it's not cheaper, but
so last news of the week, Zipline. We covered several Zipline stories, probably over the past year. They are now facing a potential patent lawsuit over their detection and avoidance technology. So my comment on that is any company facing your first, patent lawsuit, I would say congratulations, because that means you're big enough now. You finally have your first lawsuit. And guess what? That's not going to be your last.
And some of the details into it is the company coming against them is I don't know if you pronounce it SARA or Sarah, how they pronounce it, but they're the company coming out saying that they infringed on their patent, that actually Zipline was in contact with Sarah and the company to develop this technology, and then Zipline kind of they said they ghosted them and made their own after meetings and discussions of the technology. So there's something going. I mean, that doesn't seem necessarily fishy, but also
we'll never know about the
yeah.
details. And once you're in that space, once you're sort of leading the industry in any technologies, there's always going to be people coming in to say, hey, you violated my patent or idea or something.
Also, the patent that they filed was filed back in 2007, which back then drones necessarily weren't not like they are today. And I think
detect and avoidance weren't really it wasn't, especially in air. Like when we talk about detect and avoidance, so detect and avoidance, say on your Mavic 3 or Air 2S, that's very different than beyond visual line of sight or delivery in air detect and avoidance. Because your in air detect and avoidance is not for your drone to see like a solid surface and then go around it. Right? It's to make sure I'm not going to crash into an airplane. I'm not going to crash into, important infrastructure, birds, or other things when I'm in the air. And it's a lot more complicated because you'd have to calculate you're moving at a high speed, and you have to consider the other moving subjects in the air as well.
And this seems like a technology that was probably easy to patent back in the day when it wasn't probably being done by anyone else. But now you have beyond what we can count on our hands and toes, of companies who are probably going to need this technology and are probably going to want to develop themselves. Just because sometimes patents can be revoked. You don't, just because you have a patent doesn't mean you keep it forever. So this could be something where they infringed the patent, but they need it and they're not going to, you can't expect to have a monopoly on this sort of technology. So
we don't know yet.
Yeah,
I guess
we will wait. I'm sure we have. We'll probably never know because this will probably be taken out of court. We'll probably never know what will happen. So
yeah,
but interesting to see it kind of popping up for the first time and with Zipline.
And it's interesting. Zipline deleted all comments pertaining to their obstacle avoidance, detection avoidance system on LinkedIn.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm sure the lawyer probably went in there like, "Hey, let's just delete this." But yeah, it's interesting though. Interesting.
Well, we will follow up on the story and share more with you. I'm definitely interested in the drone in-air detect and avoidance because overall that's what's really going to help us to go into beyond visual line of sight, right? Again, like I said, for drone to see a solid surface and go around it, it's not that big a challenge anymore. But for my, Mavic 3 to, let's say, see a Mini 3, in the air and being able to avoid it and not crash into it. That should be interesting.
That would be interesting to see. Yep.
That's all the news we've got for you this week. So we started from DJI's product launch. That's going to be next Thursday. So please, watch out for our live announcement next Thursday after DJI's product launch. We'll definitely bring you more updates and a little more in-depth information on what we all know is the new DJI Avata. We also talked about the RC Pro controller update with the Mini 3. And on that note, actually just got stock update because for a while, the RC Pro controller wasn't even in stock. So now there's also available from both DJI and their authorized retailers. We also have the updated Autel Evo 2 V3. I'm looking forward to seeing that one with the thermal unit. And then we also had Snap, their Pixie. I'm still debating if I want to try to grab anyone that's still left in the market and give it a shot. And the last one is Zipline's news with a patent lawsuit. So that's all we've got for you this Friday, and we will see you next week.